good evening. It's been a while. I have found some time again, so I came back to my project, updated to 5.3, fixed a lot of the stuff that was broken from, it was 4.2.7, got Lumen enabled, and just finished a really, really rough first pass replacing my procedural foliage volumes with PCG. I'm probably not using it optimally. I think that likely, but it's been a good learning exercise this evening. I have some cool thoughts and some learnings, so I figured I'll dive in real quick and look at my PCG, and then we'll kind of look like what that looks like, and some thoughts on where I want to head next. So first, we can go ahead and I've got an actor in the scene. We grab our landscape data, and here in the surface sampler, at least for what I'm doing, I don't have to keep having a bounding volume, so I'm using unbounded, so it'll pull the whole thing. And your points per square meter is pretty important there, right? That's kind of your frequency of points, but your point extents here is actually also pretty important, and I'm wondering, one of the things I should go through and do is for the different kinds of assets I'm spawning, look at what I want their overlap size to be, and then within that overlap size, dial that in to basically the size of the thing I'm spawning, roughly, or the size of area I want it to clear. So I want to test that out and see what that kind of does with my sort of spawn quality. And I've made myself I turned basically my old procedural foliage blocking volumes. I just gave them a new actor tag, and I'm using the skit volume data. But you can also say like from all world actors and by tag. And so I added an arbitrary PCG blocker tag to them, and I sample that volume, and then I grab the difference, right? So I'm going to subtract my volumes from, okay, oh, sorry. Oh, I'm subtracting my volumes from my surface point samples there, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to reduce the density. And so these almost act like, there's probably documentation on this, but I feel like these numbers are sort of 0 to 25 feels like it's going to take up 25% of the points, but always the same 25%. And so what I've kind of come and done here is, and then I transform them because by default I'm going to spawn my big trees first because I'm in a forest. They're the main feature, and so you want to come in here and get absolute rotation. And I've got mine to turn around, so I'm going to go ahead and do a negative 360 there too. I don't know if that's, I give a little bit of axial rotation value, and I sink them into the ground. And actually I do what? Absolute offset too, so absolute rotation. And I give it some scale. And I spawn some weighted static mesh actors, and I've gone ahead. I'm probably going to replace this with some better actors here later, but go in and get some of those new better Quicksoul Mega Scans assets. But I've gone ahead and this is like a dead tree, so I've gone ahead and said dead trees are less common than live trees, but I still want to have some dead trees, and so after I did that, we're going to take the points out of, oh, I actually don't want this. I want this. Oop. And we're going to take the trees points, and we're going to bring them down in here, and we're going to grab that the original set of points that are coming out of the thing over here, and we're going to subtract the big trees from available points. Right, we're going to come out here. We're going to do a similar thing, but you can notice here I had 0 to 2, 5 over there. So we're going to say like, okay, so 5% of my points in this range of point. Basically, I'm going to take this range of points and use them to make rocks. So it's still going to randomly take 5%, but like I said, I'm fairly certain it's always the same 5%. Make rocks, and for rocks, I did a different transform, so I'm going to do an absolute offset where I'm going to sink them 20 to 100 down into the ground, but I'm going to do full random rotations and then some scale, of course. And then we're going to add the rocks and the trees to the same pool of already placed points, right? We're going to come down to we're going to repeat that. So we're going to spawn some medium rocks, right? I've got my medium rocks over here. They're all set up. And same thing, we're going to come in and grab from that original source. We're going to subtract previous spawns. We're going to pick, before we had 0.2 to 0.3, now we're at 0.3 to 0.4. So there's more rocks that are small rocks, and this is where I think actually coming in, and I should probably pick from a different sample size, because I'm going to get fewer of these small assets. I should probably do like a large, medium, and small terrain sampler, but I'll check that out later, right? Same thing, we're gonna then we're going to come in and we're going to spawn some medium trees, add those to the set, blah, blah, blah. We're going to spawn some small rocks. Now for small rocks, I went ahead, and for the assets, I turned their collision off. They're not big enough that I want them to affect your feet, and I don't want to pay for that. And so then from there, I'm going to take that stuff, but I'm going to come in here and I'm going to start a new sampler for my ferns, because I just wasn't getting the density I was wanting to get, and so I came in to that surface sampler, and I made the point extent smaller, and I bumped up how many samples we have per square meter, and of course I turned the collision off on those, and so what does this end up looking like? All right. I come in here, and this is what we're looking at for the start, and I think it's looking pretty cool. I've got a foliage blocker volume coming in here to sort of create an open path. Oh yeah, and I also did, that was the other thing. For the fern sampler, I created a new PCG blocker foliage, because there are some things I don't want to, I want to block small foliage, but I mean, I want to block the big stuff and the small stuff separately. I think that'll be really useful in the future. And then, so we got our ferns. I made a little foliage. Actually, here's a good example. So here, I've done a PCG blocker volume for regular stuff, but not for foliage. Where was I doing the foliage one? I think I did on the fences. Yeah, that was where I did it, on the fences and the house. PCG blocker foliage. Well, that should also just have a PCG blocker on it. Which one was that? Ah, dang it. And I'll regen real quick. That's pretty fast. My performance is still pretty decent. I'm just on a 2080. And I've got Lumen and Convolution Bloom and some other stuff going on here. And my frame rate's alright. And I'm recording. So we'll hit play. And I need to get a better character controller than this. But I'm not. I'm in my kitchen right now because I'm getting downstairs done. So I don't have my VR hooked up. So I can't use my VR character controller. Also, that got broke in the 5.0 transition because a lot of the Valve Steam hand index stuff got removed. So I think it's looking pretty cool for this was a night. This was just tonight's stuff. So I think it's looking like a pretty cool forest where you could do some fighting in. I could maybe make it a little less dense, but I kind of like the dense forest. So, but that's a pretty. There's a lot of ways to tweak that. Some other cool stuff I want to play around with is spawning blueprints, which themselves have PCGs inside them. So doing nested PCG graphs, because I think it'd be cool if these trees, could handle spawning their own little areas around them, like dropping pine cones and shit on the terrain sampled around them within a radius or something like that. Maybe, where it's intersecting with stuff, like do some stuff. So I think that could be a cool thing. I'd also want to play around with getting some of these rocks to be covered in moss on some like uplands and stuff. My terrain material already does sort of height detection stuff. But anyways, Lumen's so freaking dope. Brr. So this is software Lumen right now. It's not even hard. I don't believe this is. I don't think I have hardware Lumen turned on right now. So, anywho, there's my project update for the night. So, I'm gonna probably start coming back in doing some more of these to learn the PCG tool set some more. But yeah, it's promising. So, pretty fun for like, I don't know, maybe like 2 hours of work, 3 hours of work. So, this is my first time using PCG. Y'all, good night. Thanks for watching.